The Israeli military says its ground forces are now pushing deeper into Gaza. A military spokesman has just given an update on the third night of fighting. He says tanks backed by artillery and airstrikes have killed dozens of fighters along northern border areas. Hamas is saying that heavy battles are taking place. Let's go live to Sarah Harriott. She's joining us from occupied East Jerusalem. So tell us, Sarah, a little bit more about what Israel's military spokesman is saying. He's just been speaking in the past half an hour.
Yeah, that's right. He reconfirmed once again that expansion in Gaza is still underway, that, in fact, if anything, they've added more troops, they've added more foot soldiers. He said that they're ensuring that there's strong backup from the air and sea to protect those foot soldiers, especially, and the tanks that are going in. I would like to add that yesterday, when we saw those massive flashes of light in the air on the south, it was something that a lot of experts, and including Israelis and Palestinians, had said that they've not seen those kind of tactics before. It seems to be quite clear that the Israeli army is using new tactics, new plans on how they will tackle this. They know they'll be up against a lot of resistance by Hamas. Hamas knows that area very well, despite the fact that Israel has drones flying over 24/7, even before this war. But the fact is, they know they are up against a big fight. Israel has been very strong militarily from the air. Of course, it receives a lot of aid from the US. But this going in as foot soldiers is another thing. Also, to add to that, Israelis don't want to lose soldiers. They don't want a high number of casualties, especially given that they already had the highest number of casualties in that October 7 attack, including soldiers, Israeli soldiers that are held captive in Gaza. And he did, Daniel Hagari, the spokesman for the army, did touch on that they want to minimize the number of deaths. We know that one was killed. That was confirmed by the Israeli army this morning, and there have been injuries from today and yesterday, but it's still not clear the total number. They haven't released those. He did also add at the end, saying that this is going to be a very slow process, and clearly, of course, there's a lot of damage and destruction. If they're going to move in by foot with those tanks on land, which is what they're doing already, they're going deeper and deeper, and certainly from the north, they're going to need to clear all of that to be able to get to those targets they're saying that they are aiming for, including those underground tunnels.
Yes, those Israeli captives, Sarah, they'll be foremost in minds, won't they, as there's growing pressure on the Israeli government to secure their release?
Yeah, we're seeing a different rhetoric in the kind of statements that are being made by the army, as well as the war cabinet, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. What started off in the early days, where they were saying that, you know, we're going to go in, unfortunately, this is war, and we may end up losing some of those captives as a result. That rhetoric has changed. They've been up against it from families that are incredibly angered, feeling frustrated, emotions are high, where they've been demanding answers from their government. They want to know what the plan is moving forward. And with this ground and sea and air assault, they're really hugely concerned that their own members, family members, relatives that are stuck in Gaza could potentially die. Hamas has already said 50 of those have been killed in those Israeli airstrikes, and that could continue because it's still not clear to Israel, despite its incredible intelligence that it's known for and what we've seen in the past few years. Despite all of that, it seems that they still don't know where those captives are. In the last few days, we'd seen leaflets that were thrown from the air to ask Palestinians, those that could help them in any way, locate them. So they're really up against it, the Israeli military. The foreign ministry says that it's going to be meeting with those family members later today to keep them updated. And clearly, they're trying to reassure the public as well that now the captives and getting them out and securing them here is incredibly important. Just one last thing to add to that is that Hamas had said the day before yesterday that they are willing to immediately release all of those captives, civilians and soldiers, but only if Israel will agree as well to release all of those Palestinian prisoners. Now, those Palestinian prisoners, there are more than 6,000 of those in Israeli jails. A lot of them are on what they call administrative detention, which means that they haven't had trials. They've been held for years, including minors, which does go against international human rights. So a lot of those here, if you even throw a stone at a soldier, that could land you in jail as a Palestinian. As we speak now, we're hearing a lot of movement behind us. We heard gunshots just a few minutes ago. Tensions here in occupied East Jerusalem are incredibly high as well. And I'm not sure if you can hear the sirens. Perhaps if the cameraman can zoom in, you'll see in the distance there, there are sirens. They immediately responded, the Israeli forces. We heard a round of several gunshots. It's still not clear as to the situation there, but there's been a general mood here in the occupied territories, a somber mood where people are scared, they're afraid. Here at Al Jazeera, we spoke to some of those Palestinians that said they were incredibly worried because of the repercussions, because of the tensions, because of the situation that's happening in Gaza. And on the other side, you also have Israelis that are worried in case that they are made a target. We still don't know what's happening right behind us. We did hear those gunshots. It's still clearly an unfolding scenario, but we may likely start to see more of this happening in the coming days, especially because Palestinians feel that what's happening in Gaza is having an effect. The war on Gaza, there are many of those that are living here that have relatives there. They're really concerned, and as many have told us, they feel that the international community has turned their back on them. It's been 75 years of occupation, and that occupation isn't just militarily, it seeps into everyday life here. Laura.
OK, Sarah, many thanks indeed. We'll let you go and see if we can get some more information on that situation unfolding there in the occupied East Jerusalem. These were shots now that you can see from Gaza. And just a moment ago, we saw some tanks on the move there in Gaza. We have been hearing that Israel has expanded its ground operations there. You can see the result of some of the airstrikes that have been going on for the past 24 days now. Absolutely devastating entire neighbourhoods there in the Gaza Strip. There you can see that tank on the move. Not many pictures coming out of Israel's ground operations in Gaza. They're keeping it very much under wraps, saying that they, of course, will not disclose any of their positions. But we are hearing more and more reports of their operation expanding deeper into the Strip, especially overnight. Let's speak to Al Jazeera's Hani Mahmoud. He joins us from Khan Yunis inside the Gaza Strip. That's in the southern parts of Gaza. Hani, first of all, what evidence are you hearing of Israel expanding its ground operations deeper into the Gaza Strip?
Yes, well, within the past hour or so, Israel surely began its second phase of the military operation or war on Gaza using tanks. Large numbers of tanks just moved from the southern eastern part of Gaza City, Juhr al-Dik area, making its way and pushing their way to the western side of Gaza City near Netzarim Junction. It's a junction that connects the Gaza City and the northern part with the central of Gaza City and the southern part of the Gaza Strip. By doing so, the Israeli tanks now are separating completely Gaza City and the northern part from the southern part of Gaza, which will be very challenging and very difficult for people to move, particularly those who were asked to evacuate at earlier hours of the night and yesterday from the hospital. We learned from a source that the Israeli issued a warning that nobody moves from Gaza and from the southern part to Gaza or from Gaza to the southern part at this moment, because there is military operations activities going on. We also learned from our source that there are tanks also moving from the northern part of Gaza, making their way, pushing into further the northern part of Gaza City, all the way to Gaza City. What seems to be a tactic by the Israeli military, who stated a few days ago that the military operation is still going, but they were not sure where when it was going to happen, but they mentioned it was going to be a surprise, and definitely what's going on now, it's a surprise military operation, ground operation happening at the moment. Communication networks still disabled, and that's why we are unable to get most of the updates from Gaza. And I believe Gaza residents, whoever remained there, has been completely cut off from the southern part of the Gaza City. Even in terms of phone service or internet, we're not getting a clear picture, but eyewitness, they still believe that they saw the tanks moving from eastern side to the western side of the coastline.
Okay, and what are people there feeling about that? Because they're now being told they can't move out of the southern areas of Gaza. As you've just said, they can't speak to people in the northern areas of Gaza. Are they feeling completely cut off and isolated?
I believe this is what is happening now, being cut off completely from the southern part of Gaza. We saw lots of worrying relatives here at Nasser Hospital who are trying to make phone calls and send text message to family members who remained in Gaza, either in Shifa Hospital around its vicinity or in different parts of Gaza City, but unfortunately without a response. And that what gives us a sense that Gaza City and the northern part has been completely cut off from the rest of the Gaza Strip. We don't know what is going to happen in the next coming hours, but there is a belief that it's going to be intensified in the coming hours, as we heard that there is an Israeli declaration of a warning of people not to move from the central part and the southern part into Gaza now. What we expect is a declaration that this area is a military zone in the coming hours, but we're waiting for the updates from Gaza City.
Okay, all right, Hani, thanks very much. Well, we can speak to Safwat Al-Khalut, our correspondent in Gaza. He joins us from near Gaza City. Safwat, great to speak to you. First of all, can you confirm to us these reports that we're hearing that tanks are outside the Gaza City and they're separating it from the southern parts of Gaza?
Well, we can confirm that we saw them personally, but from where I am, I'm like 5 kilometers away from the area that they said the Israeli tanks have been stationing or get into. I can see from where I am now a cloud of smoke coming up from that area, which is called Al-Mughraka or Nitzarim Junction, which was one of the expected places by the experts here in Gaza, the military experts, that in case Israel decided or Israeli tanks decide to get through Gaza, this would be one of the points that the tanks will be stationing in order to divide Gaza and the north of the Gaza Strip from the rest of the Gaza Strip. But what we can confirm that the fighting groups, they send a statement, and we received a copy of it, that the severe clashes are taking place now between the fighting groups, Qassam Brigades and Islamic Jihad fighters, and the Israeli tanks rolled into the Gaza City. So by this statement, we can confirm that there are tanks who are entering inside Gaza. And by the way, they entered from the eastern part of the Gaza City, of the Gaza Strip, and according to experts, they will go straight and cut the whole way from east to west, and then dominate and control the two main roads, or the two only roads that link Gaza and its north with the rest of the Gaza Strip, which is Salah ad-Din Road and the Coastal Road. So in case, or if the Israelis arrive or reach the coastal line or the coastal road, by this point or by this time, they will completely divide the Gaza, the Gaza City and the north of the Gaza Strip with the rest or from the rest of the Gaza Strip. So still people, we have been receiving lots of phone calls from people who couldn't leave the Gaza City and the north, and they are asked if it's still safe and secure to leave the north and Gaza City towards the south.
And to what impact is that actually having? Or when you talk about dividing up the Gaza Strip, people unable to move, we're hearing from Hani that people are unable to even make phone calls to people inside Gaza City, that communications have been cut off there. Can you confirm that for us as well?
Look, from the first day of the war, there was a severe lack and severe drop of the local cellular network and internet. But the people here, since they got used to these wars and these escalations, they have created new mechanisms and new survival mechanisms. Many people you can find, they put in their pockets like some of the Israeli SIM cards who are very weak in Gaza but still working. So, or maybe do some roaming like we did and when there was complete cut out a few days ago. So there's always a way for the Gazans to communicate and to survive. Since they are living under the siege for more than 17 years, and they have been living under these difficult circumstances, not for the first time or second time. So under these circumstances, they have found or created kind of survival mechanism in terms of even of electricity, internet, communication and telecommunications and other means, of course, because living under these circumstances, by the way, you can find in every house a car battery, just to get some charge for your mobile. So this mechanism and these means of survival, you can find it almost in every neighborhood or in every house.
OK, Safwat Al-Khalout, thanks very much for the update. We'll keep talking to you throughout the coming hours as we hear more about Israel's expanded ground operations into the Gaza Strip.